How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming, and this is a RPG Maker MZ tutorial for no specific reason besides the fact that I wanted to make it for you guys. It's an actor fusion system. It's a prototype, but you could use it to make two actors become one stronger actor. And I'll just show it off real quick, and if you like it, then I'll show you how to do it. I'm also going to include this project folder in the description below. Please join us on Discord, like this video if you do download it, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Anyway, here we go. We've got two actors. They're both adventurers, character 1, character 2, and we'll look at the stats, and you can see that they've got 5 to all of their stats. What we're going to do is combine them into one stat, but first, I want to name our actor. You saw that they were named Actor 1 or Char 1 to illustrate a point that we're not switching actors on you. Here we go. Bang. One of them is named Drifty now. We're going to go to this little thing here, and we're going to make a fusion happen. If we say not right now, nothing happens. We say use the fusion system, and we say never mind, nothing happens. Our contingencies give the player lots of chances to, back out. Use the fusion system, fuse them together, let the player know it's going to destroy the second actor. Would you like to automatically remove all their gear because we're going to remove that character? So we're going to run this code and make sure that they don't accidentally screw themselves and permanently get rid of their ultimate weapon. So we're going to forcefully remove. Bam, they slide together. We've got some flashy stuff happening. Of course, you can make it look better than that. This is just a prototype. Let the player know what happened. We consumed Actor 2, and they fused with Actor 1, and Actor 1 gained 25% of... This is a number you can change. It could be 100%, it could be 50%, 10%, whatever you want. It's arbitrary. In this case, the Actor 1's going to gain 25% of Actor 2's stats. So 25 HP, 6 MP, 1 to all of their things, because, they had 5 points, so 25% of that is 1.25 rounded. That's 1 point to each of those stats. And then we have some more flashy flash stuff. You may have noticed that the character's walking sprite, battle sprite, and face sprite has changed. It's still the same actor, but we've changed them. We go to the status, you see that indeed our max HP, max MP have increased. You can tell by the HP bar. I didn't increase their HP and MP, only their maximum HP and MP, so it looks like they took damage when in fact they just increased a higher maximum. And their attack defense, magic attack, all that stuff went up by that 25% of the other character. So let's get another party member to fuse. Actually, we need to kill the zombie and get some gold and experience to pay for the mercenary hire. We're going to hire another person. Yes. All right, let's do it again and level up our other actor to show you that it works at multiple levels and whatnot. So here we have our level 7 Drifty with 12 stats, and we have our level 5 with 9 stats, and we're going to fuse them together. The events will change. It won't show Reed here anymore because we changed him, so it will show the correct skin. We're going to remove all of Actors 2 equipment, fuses those together, bada boom, bada bing, and you get those extra stats on actor number 1. This time +2 to the stats. And you can see that those were granted. Now we have 15. And our max HP is much, much higher. Interesting discovery in the process of making this tutorial. I'm going to remove the math.round from the script call in the middle of this event because somewhere the float value of the character's parameters are stored. Now, when you access them, even if you F12 and look in the menu, they show you the integer value, no decimals. But somewhere, it does store that value. So here we're going to show the float value, 1.25. Because 12 plus 2 does not equal 15, and that's what's coming up. So somewhere along the line, that data is being stored. So I think the way around it is to just show you even though it's going to show you the integer, I think it's going to be a better idea to show you the float value, 2.25, and then along the line somewhere, you're getting that extra point in there so that this number makes sense because behind the scenes, those float values, the decimals, were adding up. And by this point at level 7, after 2 fusions, you get that extra point in there. So yeah, back to past me. Yeah, that's basically it. I'll show you how to do it if you're interested. So let's get to it. All right, so it's pretty simple. There's a lot of little things that you should pay attention to. The zombie event is just for testing. I'll show it off, but it really isn't anything there. The naming event, you don't need it, right? But it is a neat little system bonus if you want to look at that. I'm sure you can figure out how to name your actors. Mercenary hiring system, very simple, easy system. I don't really want to go over it. It's simple. It checks to see if you have enough money and gives you a character. And unless you already have a character, and then it doesn't. But there, if you don't know how to do that, it's bonus. You can get that. This is our statue. It's just the image of the starting character. And then on the second page, we have the same thing. These are characters that show up once a master switch has been turned on. And the second page, it's checking to see what we changed the actor's image to be. And you don't actually even need this page if you don't change the actor's images. Maybe you don't want them to change image. It's all up to what you want it to do. This is for the same thing. You can have a second page if you're going to have a second actor. This is made for 2 actors. It's a prototype, but you can make it for 3, 4, 5, however many actors you want. You can make it dynamic, but it will make it more complicated. So I've made a very simple system so that it's easy to understand how it works, and then you can add on to it and improve different functions if you want to make it more complex. So let's just go over from the top. So here's our Fusion System Prototype main event. Same as character action button. Doesn't really matter. However you want to do it, you can put this in a common event and call the common event. I've tried to include some comments to help me stay on track, so I'll just go from top to bottom and explain the process. The first thing we have is, do you want to fuse actors, yes or no? And in this choice, I'm saying use the fusion system or not right now. The not right now does nothing, and it closes out. When you say yes, use the fusion system, we're going to check to make sure that the player actually has enough actors to create a fusion. So we're going to run a conditional branch, and we're going to check on tab 2 to see if they have at least character 1, the first actor. You're going to replace any character 1, actor 1 with the in your story, whatever 2 characters fuse, you're going to replace those with the name of that character. We're going to use an else branch on that, because if they don't have it at the bottom, we need to also say, hey, you need enough actors, or you're missing Charlie, the dude, or whatever. Charlie must be in your system, in your party to continue, whatever. And then you're going to do another conditional branch, essentially copy paste that inside of it. And it's going to check to see if the second person is in your party. On the else branch, you say, hey, you don't have the party member, so make sure you have the party member. And then the player knows that, oh, to do the fusion, I need both of these party members, and nothing else would happen. But say they have both of them and they want to fuse them together. We're going to do another show choice. We want to give the player plenty of time to back out, because this method is going to completely remove one of the actors. It's going to kill off actor 2, and you're not going to have actor 2 anymore, because in the story, they're going to be fused together, right? So you give them the option to say, never mind, back out. But you make them confirm they want to fuse actor 1 and actor 2, whatever 2 names that you put in. These are just placeholder names. When they select fuse actor 1 and actor 2, we're going to one more time give them the chance to back out and make sure that they've done all of the necessary things before they lose this character. The fusion process will completely destroy actor 2. Would you like to automatically remove all of actor 2's equipment? You really want to do this so you don't let the player screw themselves over. This is a little convenience for the player to not lose powerful weapons and armors that that actor 2 has equipped. If you destroy the actor, they're going to take everything that they have with it on them. In the event itself, remove all of their gear so the player still has all that gear after they fuse together. Now we're going to do some magic behind the scene. We don't want to let all this happen without with the player looking at it. Otherwise, it kind of breaks the immersion a little bit. So fade outs are really good for keeping the player immersed. So we're going to start here with a fade out screen. Then we're going to do 15 frames. We don't want to add too many frames, but we want a buffer to give time for things to happen. We're kind of controlling a scene here, and we want to make sure that the player has like some sort of experience. Obviously, the computer can handle, boom, all of this in 1 second, but we want the player to kind of feel like a process is happening. They're fusing together. So you're going to add a little tiny bit of buffer. You don't want to add a lot, trust me. You just want a little tiny bit. So 15 frames is equal to 1/4 of a second. So fade out the screen, wait 1/4 of a second. we're going to change the transparency on, because now we don't want to move the player around. We want to split the party, and it'll be kind of hard to make this work because of how the follower system plays into it. I don't really need to get into it, but it's easier to do it this way. We don't want to remove the player before we access all of their parameters in the script call below, but the follower system will throw a wrench in it. So transparency on. We're going to create a master switch that's going to let us control a lot of things, anything we really want, like when to show the actor statues. We're turning the player transparency on, and we're going to use actor statue in its place, a couple of actor statues in the place of the actor, to create a scene and let us actually customize how things move without the follower system messing things up for us. We're going to use a new switch, fusion process, and turn that on. We're going to wait 15 frames once again, create that buffer, but not too much. We're going to fade the screen back in, so you didn't actually see the characters disappear and you didn't see the statues appear. The screen faded out and then the screen faded in, and it looked like they moved. So this will stop you from having to make a complicated move event too. So now what we want to do is remove all of Actor 2's gear like we selected. So we'll play a sound effect just to like let it become immersive and make it sound like we're taking the gear off. And you need to do a change equipment for every piece of equipment that they could possibly have equipped. In this game, there's only weapon and thing, which is their accessory. So you set them to none, and that will remove them. It doesn't delete them, it just takes them off, which puts them in the player's inventory. Some of you can make things look really, really cool, showing pictures and whatnot. This is just like a baseline for making a fusion system look kind of cool. I think that's really important to give the player some kind of visual stimulus about this whole process, because it happens mostly in our head, but the numbers will also change. Like I said, the computer can change all the numbers in less than a second, but we want to make this kind of scene look kind of cool. So what have I done? I've just done a couple of animations, not even waiting on these first animations. One on the left statue, one on the right statue. Then we're going to do a movement route, and this is a nice little trick. If you turn on direction fix, walking off, stepping off, you can make images slide back and forth. We want to skip if cannot move and wait for completion on this, so we can see the left statue is moving in to the right. And then we do the same thing. The second statue is moving in from the right to the left. And then with the second one, we turn on another thing called through. And this lets them overlap without creating a obstruction and like locking up the game. Obviously, skip if cannot move will stop the game from being locked up, but if you turn through on, then they can both stack on the same tile, and it looks like they're fusing together, which is the whole point of this. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to play an animation on this event, which is like right above it. The lightning's going to play right there, and we're going to wait for that. And then we need to decide what stats do we want to remove from Actor 2 and put on Actor 1. And so we have this larger script call, and thanks to one of the newer additions in RPG Maker MZ, this won't exactly work like this in MV because it doesn't let you have this many lines in a script call, as far as I know. But in MZ, they've allowed you to have very, very large script calls, which is super cool, and it lets you... normally you need a plugin to do something like this, but in MZ you don't really need a plugin if you can just make a couple of really concise to the point script calls. And, with the scrolling thing, we have enough lines to make that happen. So I'll just quickly explain this. Like I said, I'm going to put a link in the description where you can download the project so you don't have to worry about all this code. But for those of you who actually want to hear it, I'll put it in here. So we're just creating temporary variables right up here, var, temporary variable. We're saying fuse char is going to be the actual game actor's Actor 2 object. And then we're going to decide what percentage of those stats do we want to take and store into those temporary variables. If you want to take 100%, then you just say fuse percent equal 1. And this 2 lines means ignore line. So this is to say 0.25 is equal to 25% here. You could delete this. This is just a comment out. So 1 is 100%, 0.25 would stand for 25%. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to store all of Game Actor 2's parameters into a variable so that we can use add param later on. So that's what we're doing. We're saying temporary var fuse max HP equals fusechar.mhp. Now this is the same thing as if I typed $gameactors.actor2.mhp. And then we're multiplying this with fuse percent. What this is actually going to do is make this number go down because we're multiplying it by 0.25. What this is going to do is take a quarter of Game Actor 2's maximum hit points and store that into the temporary variable fuse MHP. And we're going to be doing the same thing for all of their parameters. Now we're creating a new temporary variable called new char, and we're setting that to the object of gameActors.actor1. Run that on gameActor1, the add param function. And 0 is max HP, 1 is max MP, 2 is attack, 3 is defense, so forth and so on. And what this will do is take that game actor's parameter and add to it and store that. It's going to actually save that. We're adding to game actor 1 25% of game actor 2's max HP on their max HP, so forth and so on for all of their parameters. Then we're going to use a little bit of ES6. That's some JavaScript, some of the newer JavaScript code that MZ handles very nicely. So in $game message.add, well, first of all, I should explain why I do this here instead of just using a game message. Once you terminate this script call, all of these temporary variables are gone. They are no longer stored in anywhere unless we put them into a game variable, which we can, but that's using up resources and is unnecessary. We want to take advantage of having all of this data stored and presenting that data to the player so that you have a nice kind of interface experience for the player so that, yeah, you are changing the numbers, but you're also letting the player know what's happening behind the scenes. So while we have all this data in temporary memory, we're going to use game message.add using ES6 to show all of that data. And all this is doing is instead of using quotes or double quotes, we're using the little backtick, the tilde, and that will let us format the show message into multiple messages, as many as needed. So what that means is when I hit enter, it will automatically do another new line until it finds this next backtick. I could also use single quotes and double quotes whenever I want, and it won't interfere with the tilde key here. So that's pretty cool. Now I can make it look like exactly like I want. All this is doing is telling the player what happened and using that data. So we're saying actor 1's base stats have been increased by 25% of actor 2's base stats, and the next line, and it will automatically go to the next line because of the formatting. Actor 1 is gained. It'll go to the next line. We're adding a space. The plus will show up as text, but then this is ES6 to show a variable value. So $ and then opening up these brackets is going to kind of eval. So it's going to eval what it sees in here. And math.round is a function in JS that just rounds a number. So we're taking fuse max HP, which you can see up here, is game actor 2's max HP times 0.25. And then it's rounding it because the game is going to round it anyway. And then we're also calling it by its name here for the player's convenience to see so that it looks nice. We've got a space, we've got a plus, we show the rounded eval of what has been changed and the text. And that's pretty much straightforward. To finish this off and finish the message, you just insert the next tilde key. And then, of course, you close off the function of add, and then you end line, and that will finish the message. I mean, that's probably the most complicated part of this whole thing, but it's really not too much, right? The next thing we're going to do is decide if we want to also transfer skill types and skills, and we can do that if we want to. In this case, I haven't added it, but all you would have to do is run a conditional branch, check to see if the actor has a certain skill, and if they do, award that skill to the next actor. You may also have to do a script call to check if they have skill types, because you could give the skill, and if actor 1 doesn't have the skill type of actor 2, you would have to check for that. And the more skill types and more skills you have, the bigger this section is going to be. So for simplicity, I didn't include it, but I wanted to mention it because it is something that you might want to add when you fuse two characters together. You may want to give actor 1 the skills and skill types and even other traits. You can add as much as you want to this. This is a very basic prototype for you to work with. But when all of the calculations and modifications have been made, we do need to remove actor 2, but we still want to make it look good, right? So we're going to remove actor 2. We're going to show an animation on the character 1 statue. We're going to wait 5 frames for buffering because we're not waiting for the animation to finish. You can make this look however you want. This is what I've done. Show animation, another animation on character 1. Then we're going to fade out the screen and do a little more buffering. Quarter of a second isn't a lot, but it gives the game time to do all of this code. You can play with the weight numbers, just don't make them too large. Then we need to decide if we want the newly fused character to look different. If we do want them to look different, you need to do a change actor images and then set the actor that's changing, the first one, to look like whatever you want. So you can select those. But if you have multiple fusions going on, this can get a little bit complicated depending on how many different looks and how many possibilities of fusions. So if you have a lot of characters and you want to let a lot of different characters fuse, maybe you don't make them look different unless you really want to, because you can, but you just have to consider if you have 2 characters, then you can have 3 different looks, right? You have the look of character 1, the look of character 2, and what they look like together. Very simple. But just add one more character and you can see the complexity will start to rise. So you've got 3 characters. Well, now you need one image for all 3 of them, and you need one image for if character A fuses with B, and you need an image for if character A fuses with C. Then you need another one if character B fuses with C. So then that's only with 3. If you add a 4th one, the complexity continues to rise and you need a lot of art. So if you have a lot of characters that are going to fuse together, maybe you don't change their actor images and you skip this part. But it's up to you. If you're a masochist and you like to have a whole bunch of stuff going on here, be my guest. We're going to use a variable to remember which images we set to actor 1. That way our statues will remember what actor images we have going for them. So when we change them, we need to assign them a variable. So we have one variable, actor 1 image, and we're going to set that to a number. It's arbitrary what number you decide. I picked 3 for the reason that when you select this face, the first one is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but I'm just going with 1, 2, 3. And say I went with this face here, then I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and I would set it to 15. And then I would check that on a page in the statues like we've seen at the beginning. But like I said, the more you have changing images, the more complicated it can get with the statues, making sure that the statues look right. So maybe you don't want to change them. Maybe you do. It depends on how much messing around with these variables you want to do. Before we finish, we need to do some cleanup. Let's move our placeholder statue events back to their starting positions, because what will happen is we did movement events on these. So we told this one to move here, and then we told this one to move here on top of it. But then when we run the event again, this one and this one are already going to be on the same spot. So what's going to happen is this one's going to move here and that one's going to move here. And then every time you fuse, they're going to keep moving out farther and farther and farther. So what we want to do is move them back. There's plugins to do this, but I'm doing this with no plugins for specific reasons, no plugin fusion system. You just move event. That's all you have to do. Set event location and set it to where you want it to be, back to its starting location. Simple, have it face down or whatever direction you want. Wait 5 frames for buffering. You're going to play around with where the weights are. You don't want to add too much because you don't want it to take too long. You want it to be fast, but you want to give it some sort of flow. Now we're going to change the transparency off. All of this is actually happening with the fade out screen. So we're fading out the screen, and all of this is happening within less than half a second. We want to move the player there. So that's what we're going to be doing. Transfer the player, and we want to do make them face the right way, fade whatever color. I say white because it was a fusion happening, so I thought white looked better than black for that. Then we're going to turn the master fusion switch off. And what that's going to do is make these statues disappear. They're no longer going to be visible because they require that the master fusion process switch be on. When the fade in screen happens, you're not standing on or next to those events like in showing duplicates, because that's immersion breaking. Anyway, we fade in, and that is the whole thing. For the else handlers, when you don't have the second actor, it says you need the right one. You don't have the first actor, it says that. And then when you say not right now, that's the back out. When they say never mind, that's another back out. And that's all that happens. Some closing comments. This is only a prototype, and while it does work well for 2 actors, it's going to need to be updated, modified, and expanded upon to accommodate multiple actor fusions. It is possible to use this same system with some more extra bells and whistles and script calls to do a whole lot more. You can really expand upon it a lot and make it really, really awesome. And I know some of you probably will, but it works as it is to do like maybe a storyline fusion, just straight up copy pasting from the game that's included in the description below, and then changing a couple of the actor names or the numbers. You're wondering how come it's not working? A couple notes to pay attention to. Whatever actor you're fusing, this is going to be changed right here. The one that's going to disappear, the second actor, you change the number to this one. And how do you find that number? It's very simple. It's going to be the number that's right here. So this is game actors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? It's very easy. So say you were going to fuse 7 and 5 together, and 5 was the one that was going to stick around, then you would change the script call so that this one would show actor 7, and then this one would be actor 5. And that seems pretty simple, right? I think you can do it. And some of you are looking at this and going, yeah, that's pretty simple, pretty basic. And some of you are going, what? What's this sorcery, right? So it's just, there's different skill levels, and I'm trying to make something that's in the middle that everyone can understand. This system requires no plugins whatsoever. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Come join us on Discord. Links are at the bottom. Thank you guys so much. We do have a Patreon. Please support us on Patreon. That's what pays our bills and helps us. You know, it's a big contributing factor to the passive incomes that we generate on this channel. Love you guys very much. Please continue to support us. Join us on Discord and come hang out. Even if you don't have any money, we would like you just to come chat with us. That's kind of cool too. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.